Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Upper Gwynedd Board of Commissioners business meeting for July 20th, 2021. Just a reminder that this meeting is being live streamed on our website. And with that, if we could all please stand for the pledge. And our fire chief, Eric Geiger, will lead us this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we mute that until it's ready?
I don't have any.
Are we able to mute until we're ready for that? Yeah.
Sure.
All right, thank you. That was a little off on that one. Okay, thank you. With that, next on the agenda is item number 3, which will be our roll call. Deanna?
Liz McNaney, President.
Here.
Denise Hall, Vice President.
Here.
Martha Similaro, Commissioner. Here. Catherine Carter, Commissioner. Here. Ruth Damsker, Commissioner.
Unmute her.
You're going to need to unmute her.
Yeah.
We have to, she has to do it herself. I have to ask her to, I've asked her to unmute. I didn't turn her down too.
Ruth, can you hear us?
Ask her if she's here.
Ruth?
She's not.
Ruth, if you could unmute, please. Ruth, can you hear us? If you could unmute. All right, we'll just go on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sandra Zadell, Township Manager.
Here.
Megan Weaver, Assistant Township Manager.
Here.
Lauren Gallagher, Township Solicitor.
Here.
Isaac Kessler, Township Engineer.
Here.
David Duffy, Chief of Police.
Deanna, standing in for the chief is Sergeant Brinkman.
David Burrell, Finance Director.
Here.
Van Reeker, Zoning Officer.
Here.
That's it.
Thank you, Deanna. Next on the agenda is the announcement of our executive session, and I'll turn it over to our solicitor, Ms. Gallagher.
Thank you, President McNaney. The board did meet in executive session earlier this evening to discuss matters of public safety. No deliberation occurred and no official action was taken.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, item number 5, public comments and concerns. Do we have any this evening? Seeing none?
President McNaney, just make sure to give him a moment to
Oh,
let you know.
do we have any?
Sorry, sorry, public comment, did you ask?
Yes, any public comment?
On which agenda item?
Just on
Public
anything in
comment.
general.
Number 5. Everyone, thanks for bearing with us. We're doing a hybrid meeting for only the second time, and the technology is awesome, but also
For agenda item number 5.
challenging.
No, there is not for agenda item number 5.
All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, we will be recognizing some of our employees, and we're going to be doing it a little different this year, as opposed to last year when we were all on the screen.
Yeah.
We will be coming down and we will be calling up the recipients after we read and talk about them a little bit. We'll be calling them up so we can take a photo. So with that, board, if you'll follow me. You too, because you have.
I'll take the photo. Sergeant Brinkman, will you come up, please? You're going to speak about Ray.
No, I am. I thought Ms. Catherine Carter.
Is Commissioner Carter, are you speaking about Ray?
You didn't get the email?
It's you now, Brinkman.
Okay.
I'll take pictures. You go over there.
Our first recipient, and we'll just wait to call him up as I read a little bit about him, is Howard Peanut Quinn. My notes are from Willard. jokingly, it says this, so I'm supposed to say this jokingly. Jokingly, he has the lead in getting stuck in snowstorm. He has served on the safety.
Could you get a mic in your hand for you?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, for the people at home.
Okay. I won't go over the jokingly part again. I'll just keep moving on. He has served on the safety committee. He's very dependable, conscientious employee, and he served our country in the United States Marine and has served on the Toys for Tot committee for 15 years. So Peanut, if you could come up. Peanut, I feel so proud, please. And Peanut, if you
Peanut,
could
wait.
stop for a picture.
Oh, sure.
The best is me not knowing who Howard Quinn was for like a year as the township. It's Peanut. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to do the next one that I have, and then we'll do the police one. at the
Okay,
end.
yeah, that sounds good.
So the next one we have is for Bill Smith. Bill Smith started at the township as a shift operator and often operated the incinerator. He worked hard to learn the wastewater process and has worked his way up to wastewater operator. His attention to detail and ability to make astute observations led him to be the lab technicians, one of the most important jobs in the plant. The data he gathers allows process control decisions to be made to improve plant performance. Over the last several years, Bill has stepped up and become even more involved in processing control decisions. He has also served on the Safety Committee and the Wellness Committee. He manages all of our sludge hauling and contract laboratory services schedules. He makes sure all compliance samples are taken in the appropriate time frame. Bill never hesitates to take on extra responsibility and never complains. Bill has truly become a key part of the Upper Gwynedd Township wastewater treatment plant. And that is from our director, Rebecca Mason. So Bill. And photo op.
Nice job. Thank you. Really is so great to be in person for these instead of on the Zoom.
Yes.
Isn't the same on Zoom.
And our next, we'll call Sergeant Brinkman up.
Yeah.
No, I just,
Speak in public.
thank you. Good evening, everybody. So we're here to recognize Sergeant Royds. He's 20-year recognition tonight. He's currently a patrol sergeant. He's going to be going into the detective sergeant position in November, which I'm currently holding right now. Let me just go through these notes here real quick. He started as a patrol officer in 2001 and then was assigned as a detective in 2004. Ray assists with Department Uniform, which is UCR reporting, and he's our JTAC officer administrator for our access to the PA Law Enforcement Justice Network. He's a member of the bicycle unit. He's also a sworn Special Deputy U.S. Marshal and serves as a member of the FBI Fugitive Task Force. Ray was promoted to sergeant in July of 2019, and he was reassigned to the Patrol Division. He's the recipient of numerous letters of commendation, as well as 3 meritorious service medals and 2 medals of valor. And I know he's also won our Officer of the Year award a couple times, too. I think he's our only officer to do that.
Which is
So-
elected by the officers, right?
Yes, we vote on Officer of the Year. Yep. So, and he's just a great dude. I've known him for about 20 years now.
Unfortunately, he's
Ish.
on vacation, so we can't.
He is, yeah, he'd be
recognize
here.
him in person, but
Yeah, so
Thanks.
that sums up right. Sure.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh, what?
Next on the agenda, we're just going to go off track for a minute and add something very exciting that we'd like to share this evening. And with that, I'd like to introduce our fire chief, Eric Geiger, to come up.
We just stand. We stand here facing you guys or the camera behind?
You can stay there, it's okay.
Yeah, all right. All right, well, thank you, President McNaney and Board of Commissioners. I'm here tonight to unveil to the township and all the commissioners and the township managers, and everybody's all aware of this already, but to unveil to the township something rather exciting for not only the fire department, but the community and the residents alike. In 2019, we were surveyed by the Insurance Services Office, which provides a rating to the fire department and ultimately to the community based on the fire protection capabilities and the ability for residents ultimately to feel safe in their home, which directly correlates to a couple things. Most notably is the insurance costs for real estate. So, this increase in our score is going to be a direct correlation to that. So, just a little bit about I'll refer to it as the ISO rating. That's the Insurance Services Organization. They provide a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being the best and 10 being the worst. Not worse, but it doesn't even meet a standard that they present. Okay, so not that any municipality is worse, but ISO's Public Protection Classification Program plays an important role in the underwriting process at insurance companies. In fact, most U.S. carriers, including the largest ones, use PPC information as part of their decision-making when deciding what businesses to write, coverages to offer, or prices to charge for personal or commercial property insurance. PPC is important to communities and the fire department as well. Communities whose PPC improves may get a lower insurance prices. PPC also provides the fire departments with a valuable benchmark and is used in many departments as a valuable tool when planning, budgeting, and justifying fire protection improvements. So as I mentioned, the scale is from 1 to 10. For the longest time, Upper Gwynedd Township was a 4. All right, not anything to shake a stick at, but still good. However, we did increase in this last survey rating to a 3. What does that mean? Directly, like I mentioned, it means the insurance premiums could go down. I'm not an insurance underwriter, but they use that tool to determine those insurance policy and premiums. All right, so the insurance premiums could go down for the township. And it also puts the fire department and the municipality out of almost 40,000 municipalities surveyed across the United States. Upper Gwynedd Township's in the top 11% of those surveyed. So that's pretty big for us, pretty big for the township. The 11th percentile is fantastic. So, the fire department and that survey conducts a lot of things in conjunction with the township manager, the fire department, the emergency communications, as well as the water and sewer department also for hydrants and things like that. So while there is room for increased efforts on the fire department, and we'll certainly be working towards that, I think we all can say that that I'm super proud and stoked that moving up to 3 in that rating. The 11th percentile across the United States, and then also there's only about a handful in Montgomery County, period. So we're leading the front. So thank you very much.
Chief Geiger, we too are extremely proud of you as well. We thank you and the rest of the department, the volunteer department, for everything that you do for our community. And I think Commissioner Carter wanted to add something.
Yes, I just wanted you to also make sure you explain to them what you talked to me about in terms of the minutes to the fire and why that was really important.
What Commissioner Carter is referring to is, and it's something volunteer services or fire department, period, takes pride in, is our response time. And that is, we take pride in, obviously, for many reasons, but number one is the basic ability for us to get to somebody who's in trouble quicker is a much
better solution or scenario than a longer response time. So the fire department, based on this survey, and since this survey, we have just about 1:21 response time from dispatch to a truck leaving the station, okay? It's a big deal. My guys don't live at home or live in the firehouse for the most part. I have a live-in house right next door, but, for all intent and purposes, all those trucks and the people that are coming there, they live throughout the township, in your community. They could be your neighbor. They could even live in a neighboring municipality and still volunteer in Upper Gwynedd Township. So to maintain that standard, we are at the level of career fire departments, which, knock on wood, we will continue doing that for years to come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Saving the
Congratulations.
taxpayers lots of money.
Ab-
We really
absolutely.
appreciate your volunteerism.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No
Congratulations.
problem.
Next up on the agenda is item number 7, where I'll turn it over to Solicitor Gallagher and open up the public hearing.
Thank you, President McNaney. This evening, we do have a public hearing scheduled regarding ordinance 2021-02. The copy of the draft ordinance is Exhibit T1. The ordinance, if adopted, would amend the township's code for the volunteer service tax credit and allow members that serve the North Penn Fire Department and reside in Upper Gwynedd Township to claim the earned income tax credit from the township, as well as a tax credit of up to 20% of the real estate taxes paid by that volunteer to Upper Gwynedd Township. It also changes any adjustments to future tax credits to be done by ordinance rather than resolution. Exhibit T2 is the proof of publication of legal advertisement. This was advertised on June the 16th and June 30th. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any public comment about this ordinance 2021-02? No? Oh, okay. Any real public comment?
There's someone that wants to say something that isn't on the agenda today. I guess we'll just save that to the end.
Yeah, because we went through that already. Thank you. We'll do that at the end. So with that, I'll close the public hearing since there are no. If you'd like to come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
Andrea Genetti, 746 Pineview Lane, North Wales. What is the expected cost to the township of the credit? Well, how much revenue are we going to not get?
For the,
The couple of firefighters, there's probably just a couple volunteers that work with North Penn Fire Company, but it's really not a loss of revenue because it's a volunteer fire company and they do cover a portion of our town with QRS services. So it wasn't really like a revenue study, it was more of increasing volunteerism and giving North Penn Fire Company, which covers our town, the same sort of benefits that our firefighters at the Upper Gwynedd Fire Department receive. So if you live in Upper Gwynedd and volunteer for either of the fire companies, you'll get the credit.
I understand, but is there any estimate of what the decrease in revenue is going to be? I'm sure it's maybe negligible, but is there a number?
Yeah, it would be negligible. I don't have
Is there a number?
I don't have a number for you.
Okay, thank you.
any other comments? Just to kind of go on with what Sandra just said, we have a QRS, which is a quick response. And we have only in the county, there are 12 of these QRS vehicles. And luckily for Upper Gwynedd, we have 2 in our community. So out of the whole county, we have 2 right here. Our QRS from Upper Gwynedd responds to a portion of the township. And the QRS in North Penn, which is right in the borough, they'll be able to respond quicker to the other side of the township. So like Sandra explained, there's a lot of volunteers. Actually, I think Greg and Eric, who are sitting behind you, can also tell you they have volunteers that live in North Wales Borough that volunteer in Upper Gwynedd and vice versa. So I think it's a benefit for everybody with this tax. So I hope that helps. And Sandra, you
I can give a ballpark too. I think that there's 2 or 3 that might be able to claim the credit. I'll have to double check with their president, but it would be an estimate of $300 per person in real estate taxes. So that gives you some sort of ballpark. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we'll close the public hearing, and do we have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-02, the volunteer tax credits? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. No additional public comment. Any additional board comment? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it. Moving along to item number 11 on our agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent items A through E, which will be a roll call vote. So do we have a motion to approve A through E?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any public comment on any of those items? Any public comments calling in? No? Additional board comments, I have one. In our Parks and Rec staff report, I received a letter from an email from a resident that I'd like to share. It was talked about in Sarah's report, and I thought it was great. Dear President McNaney, I wanted to let you and the other commissioners know what a wonderful celebration the 25+1 year Parkside Playground birthday party was. Many of us who helped oversee and build the structure for the community were in attendance and thought the celebration was exactly that, a celebration of the efforts of the folks from the past to the present. It put a smile on our faces to see the joy our efforts continue to make in the Upper Gwynedd community. It was wonderful to meet and see the entire elected Board of Commissioners out participating in these activities, and the township manager and Sarah from Parks and Recs got into the action too. It was great to see people of all ages having fun, especially after the year we've had. Thank you again. So many of us still live in the area and now bring our grandchildren to play at the park we helped build. Warmly, Carol. That was a fun celebration that we had for that. That's the only comment I have. So do we have, and we'll take a vote, and it needs to be a roll call vote on approving the consent items.
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker,
That's it. The ayes so have it. Thank you, Deanna. Next on our agenda, I will turn it over to Commissioner Hull.
Thank you, President McNaney. First up, number 13, item number 13 on our agenda. I would like to make a motion to, A, approve the conditional use application submitted by applicant Upper Gwynedd Equities, LLC, for the operation of a daycare use for up to 126 children supervised by 22 full-time and 1 part-time adult staff members in Building A on the property located at 467 Sumneytown Pike in Upper Gwynedd Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the conditions included in the 2018 conditional use approval are hereby reaffirmed and remain in effect unless expressly modified herein. The use of Building A for a daycare facility shall also be entirely consistent with all the exhibits and testimony presented by the applicants and its witnesses, except to the extent modified, if at all, by the conditions set forth below. Number 2, the daycare shall at all times be licensed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or by the agencies within the Commonwealth which have been delegated jurisdiction over the operation of daycare facilities in Pennsylvania. And copies of such licensure and/or renewals thereof shall be provided to the township within 14 days of the receipt thereof. Copies of any violation notices, no matter how minor, shall be immediately provided to the township. The township shall also be immediately notified of the lapse, termination, or expiration of state licensure and daycare operations shall immediately cease in such event until the proper licensure is reestablished. Number 3, deliveries to all tenants on the property by tractor trailers, including gasoline tankers or any trucks in classes 7 or 8, shall be prohibited between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. Other deliveries shall be governed by the 2018 conditional use decision regarding the property. All permitted delivery vehicles shall be limited to parking and loading zones or in parking spaces on the property in accordance with the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code and the ordinances of Upper Gwynedd Township. Signs providing notice of these restrictions shall be conspicuously posted at all entrances to the property. Number 4, unless there has been 30 days written notice to the township and a reasonable opportunity for the township to adjust the delivery timeframe set forth in these conditions, the regular daycare hours of operation shall be limited to Monday through Friday between the hours of 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Any modification of the timeframe set forth in these conditions may be appealed as a final decision of the board to the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas within 35 days of the mailing or emailing of such conditions to the record owner of the property. No routine night or weekend use of the daycare shall be permitted except by prior written permission from the Board of Commissioners or for a limited number of special events, the parameters of which are described in subsequent conditions herein. Number 5, there shall be no special events, open houses, and/or other activities conducted by the daycare which create a need for any off-premises parking for the shopping center. In the event that a special event conducted by the daycare does create a need for any off-premises parking for the shopping center, then upon written notice from the township, no further special events, open houses, and/or other activities shall take place within the daycare facility except in compliance with one or more, up to all, of the following restrictions. 1, special events and/or open houses shall be permitted for use 1 class-based age group at a time. The 3 class-based age groups are understood to be A, neonates/infants, B, toddlers, and C, 3 to 6-year-olds. 2, the daycare must provide the township with written notice of the daycare's desire to host a special event and/or open house, as well as the number of daycare children who will be invited to participate, no less than 2 weeks prior to the date of the event. 3, the daycare must receive the prior written approval of the township, which shall not be unreasonably withheld. 4, the participation of multiple classes in a single event or open house shall be staggered with no less than 30 minutes between the conclusion of the event for the first class and the commencement of the event for the second class. And 5, any special event involving the students being outside the building shall maintain the student-to-teacher ratio provided to each class during the daycare's normal daily activities inside the building. Number 6, no less than 22 parking spaces or such lesser or greater number as shall constitute the highest normal staff presence at the property at any given time, including the overlap of shifts, shall be designated from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, as parking for daycare staff only. No less than 14 parking spaces shall be designated in the parking area to the southeast of Building A from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. and 4 to 6:30 p.m., Monday through Friday for daycare parent pickup/drop-off only. Although the designated staff parking spaces shall include all of the parking spaces in front of Building A, any other parking spaces needed to comply with the provisions of this paragraph shall be in locations suggested by the property owner and approved by the township, and these locations may be adjusted as necessary in the future at the direction of the township or by the request of the applicant with the written permission of the township. Number 7, the designated daycare parent or approved guardian parking for pickups or drop-offs shall be in the parking area southeast of Building A, and the teacher parking originally located in the southeast parking area shall be located consistent with the provisions of paragraph 6 above. Number 8, there shall be no curbside, drop-off, or pickup, no queuing of any vehicles for the daycare. Parents or their permitted designates who drive to the property shall be encouraged to park in the parking area southeast of Building A, but shall nevertheless be required to park their vehicle in a parking space on the property, and anyone delivering children to the daycare facility, walking or driving, shall be required to personally drop off and pick up their child or children inside the building. Number 9, because any busing to the daycare facility would require the reexamination of the pickup and drop-off design and facilities at the property, the daycare shall not provide any transportation services or agree to allow other entities to provide transportation services without the prior written approval of the Board of Commissioners. Such transportation services shall be permitted to service the daycare facility only if a design for pickup and drop-off can be demonstrated, which will ensure the safety of the children being transported without negatively impacting the access to and from the remainder of the tenants on the property. Number 10, during all daycare hours of operation, the building shall be secured, and an employee of the daycare facility shall monitor the entrance and exiting of all persons. Number 11, the perimeter of the proposed playground area shall be fenced in with a solid vinyl, reasonably unclimbable fence no less than 72 inches in height from grade with lockable gates that cannot be opened from the outside. Number 12, the gates in the playground fence shall include emergency panic bars / latches that allow the gates to be opened from the inside the playground area only, which emergency bars / latches shall emit or cause to be emitted an audible from inside and outside the daycare building alarm noise if opened inappropriately or without authorization. Number 13, protective bollards at 5-foot intervals shall be installed between the playground fencing and the parking area located to the north of Building A, as well as around the front door of the daycare. Number 14, all landscaping and stormwater management facilities shall be installed as required by the final approved building permit or land development plan. Number 15, no daycare use may be operated anywhere else on the property, and not more than 33% of Building A may be occupied by a non-daycare permitted use without a plan, including a formal land development if requested by the township, being first approved by the township. The elimination of the drive aisle to the rear of Building A in connection with this application may be accomplished as a field change, but shall be documented to the satisfaction of the township and shall be subject to the other provisions of the paragraph. Number 16, if the daycare is terminated or reduced in size by more than 33% without being replaced by another daycare use occupying at least 66% of Building A, the drive aisle, loading area, curb cuts, parking areas, and other improvements previously shown on the approved land development plans shall be constructed and installed as shown on such plans unless the township believes, in its sole but reasonable discretion, that the construction of all the improvements shown on the originally approved and recorded plans are not necessary for the operation of the center, consistent with the public health, safety, and general welfare. Prior to any use and occupancy permit being issued for any subsequent use or uses of more than 33% of Building A, such use shall be required to obtain the approval of the township of a subsequent plan, including if required by the township land development plan, and any adjusted improvements shall be constructed and installed as depicted on such plan prior to a use and occupancy permit being issued for any subsequent use or uses of more than 33% of Building A. Number 17, sidewalk, or at least 4 feet in width, shall be provided to and from the parking area north of Building A to the front entrance of Building A. Number 18, there shall be no stove or oven on the premises, although there may be a microwave, sink, and refrigerator, without written notice to the Board of Commissioners, and the demonstration of compliance with any fire, health, or safety codes applicable to such use in a daycare facility. Number 19, the daycare shall receive no regular deliveries during its normal hours of operation, except for those made in a van or other vehicle that can fit into one normally sized parking space. Number 20, prior to the approval of a use and occupancy permit for the daycare use, the Township Fire Marshal shall be provided with a fire drill and emergency response plan satisfactory to the Marshal, which includes details for the safe relocation and assembly of all students in the event that there is a fire or emergency in Building A or any of the other buildings on the property. Part B, I further move to direct the township manager and assistant township manager to work with the special conflict solicitor to prepare a formal written decision with findings of fact and conclusions of law of the board and provide such full written decision to the applicant within 45 days from today, along with a written itemization of the various conditions of approval set forth above as required by Section 908 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code.
So with that, do we have a motion then to approve? All right.
That was the motion.
Denise made the motion. Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a second. So is there any public comment on this item?
This is 11, correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
No, it's number 13.
13.
Oh, sorry,
There's none. Okay. Any additional board comment? Hearing none, is this, we don't, no. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it. Thank you.
Sure.
Give everybody a second
I'll
to,
give you a second to clear out. I'm surprised you don't want to stay. I mean, we have such exciting stuff here tonight.
I was going to ask if you needed a break.
I still have a lot to say. We'll see. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, I think we're ready to start.
Move on, yes. So next up, we are at the point with Gwynedd Walk, which was one of our recent developments, the Gwynedd Walk / Cottage Avenue project that consisted of 22 townhomes. Their addresses are 10 to 43 on Finley Court. We're at the point where we are ready to approve their deed for dedication, deed of dedication. So it's an exciting point because that means we are coming near the end of this land development process. So the township solicitor and township engineer have reviewed the following documents: the deed of dedication / widening of Cottage Avenue, the sanitary sewer easement, the deed of dedication / sanitary sewer lines, the maintenance bond, and as-built per T&M review letter dated 6/10/21. So everything seems to be in order. And I would like to make a motion to approve the acceptance of the deed of dedication for Gwynedd Walk.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Is there any public comment? No public comment? No? Okay. Hearing none, any additional board comment? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Also, with Gwynedd Walk, I would like to make a motion to authorize the acceptance of maintenance bond and release of performance bond for Gwynedd Walk.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Next up, we are going to approve an advertisement of a hearing that we are going to have in upcoming meetings for a change in ordinance. So to explain it, we have several homes in the R2 district which are non-conforming, which just means that they were developed and established before we actually created the R2 zoning. So they're just a little smaller than the typical R2, but not significantly different in size that we felt we had to create a different class for them. But as a result of them being a little smaller, we feel like it's only fair that we allow them to have less of a side setback and less of a rear setback. So typically in R2, you have to have a 25-foot side setback and you have to have a 50-foot rear setback. But because these homes are a little smaller, we thought it would be appropriate to allow them to have the side setback only be 20 feet and the rear only be 40. That way, if they want to build a deck or a patio or a single-story attached garage, they can do so without going through the zoning hearing board. So that'll save them time and it'll save them some money. So that's essentially what this hearing and that ordinance change is all about. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve the advertisement of ordinance 2021-03, amending the zoning code at chapter 195, section 12, to add subsection C, side and rear yard exceptions for non-conforming lots.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Nope. Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Next up, we have our Roosevelt Court State Street subdivision land development. Do we have anything that team would like to share with us?
Good evening. My name is Ed Wild. If it pleases the board, good evening. To my far left is Rob Wagner. Rob is the principal of the entity that has purchased the 14 lots that are the subject of the project in the capacity of Roosevelt Court at Gwynedd LLC. And immediately behind Rob is Richard Mast. Rick is the project engineer. I don't have much, if anything, to say. This project started several years ago, went through a lengthy process that involved sketch plan review, a zoning ordinance change, a conditional use. It's been seen by the Planning Commission on several occasions. And after all of that review, it has now made its way to you for consideration of the approval of the subdivision land development. I see the plan is up on the screen. That's the sheet that shows the consolidation of all of the existing lots. There are 14 tax parcels. There were 40 underlying lots from a recorded subdivision plan. Really an unusual and very different development scheme, given the 40 lots and the 14 tax parcels. If you could scroll to the next plan, that's the redevelopment of it. You'll see there are 3 lots on State Street. There are 3 lots to the left of Roosevelt Court, which is a private paper street that we will now improve. And there are 3 lots then to the right side of that. So overall, 9 lots, privately owned with the street, several stormwater basins inside the interior of the project. And as I said, it's been here on several occasions over the course of the years. Township's been very involved in what the houses will look like and how it will develop, and hopefully it'll be quite an improvement and a credit to the redevelopment. So that's why we're here. We're happy to answer any questions if there are questions to Rob or Rick, or for me for that matter. But I think it's ripe and sort of ready for your consideration.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we have, as you mentioned, the Planning Commission met twice with you. A couple things they brought up is that they wanted to add a buffer along the rear of the development between the cul-de-sac and adjoining properties, and you agreed with that as well. And you are consulting the neighbors of lots 6 and 7 about what they wanted. They wanted a planting or a fence, so you're working on that. We also have the applicant's waiver request letter. We have the township engineer review. We have the sanitary sewer engineer review letter. We have the environmental advisory council review letter, and we have the planning commission review letter, as well as the fire marshal review letter and the record plan. My question for you is 2 things. I just wanted to go over the waivers to make sure everybody understands and is familiar with the waivers. The other question I had is for the EAC, the Environmental Advisory Council, they're brand new. They're absolutely just giving suggestions. It wasn't anything that was set in stone. Were there any of those suggestions that you thought you could accommodate or you were planning on accommodating?
Let me invite Rick to come forward. I'm not aware of any resistance to those conditions, which is not to say necessarily yes, but my understanding is that there was nothing that's been raised that we haven't resolved. I think the draft resolution has about 22 conditions in it. Several of them have subparts. I think we have worked through the planning process to resolve all of those issues. So as far as I know, the answer to your question is that I think all of the considerations and the conditions have been worked out and resolved cooperatively and over time. The project from start to finish, I think, has been in front of the township in one capacity or another, probably for a little more than 3 years.
So you are going to take all of the EAC's suggestions?
Have you seen an EC report? I haven't seen an EC, Environmental Advisory Committee report. I thought we were talking about the Planning Commission conditions.
Right. No, yes, we definitely worked through those with the Planning Commission and the county as well. They didn't see them? They didn't get them?
No.
It was dated 3/4/21. That's what I have.
Can you guys look at that letter really quickly? Because I just wanted to make sure you were aware of it, because again, these are suggestions. Some of them are ambitious, and I was just curious if even just at a glance, if you thought that was something you could accommodate.
I'm happy to look at it if somebody can
Okay.
produce a copy of it. I don't think we've seen it.
Do we have a written copy that we could give them quickly?
Like right now, I can print one, but
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know what else.
Sure, that's great.
Oh, that's even better. I mean, they're just suggestions. It's not binding them to it, is it? Not unless you.
So if we put in the
We do, okay.
resolution, it's just still
Is
suggestion.
Catherine next, 117?
Okay, I don't want to bind them to it, but I would like.
No, I didn't get to 17 yet, Ruth.
So that's the letter that we're?
Yes.
Okay. How many are there?
Liz, can you hear me?
Only 5.
Liz?
Ruth, we're just going through, we're on item number 16, under Denise. Yeah, so we're just reading the letter from the EAC.
Okay, thank you.
Is this me, Papa? This letter?
Yeah, this is on the packet.
It's part of the packet, yeah.
It's okay. They can review that and they can make the changes if there are any that they'd like to make before they submit the final plans. So you can move forward with it. Yeah. Unless you want to hold them to something in it.
We'll let them just look at it,
Mhm.
if there's anything.
And we can get copies to anybody else that wants it.
It's been on.
It's posted online. Yeah.
Okay, I hope, I appreciate your patience. I think I can say with every confidence that throughout the process, Rob Wagner, on behalf of the developer, has been very accommodating to try to address all of the concerns to make sure that the product that's built is something that not only he can be proud of, but that the township can be proud of. And I think Rick Mast, in his design capacity, has done an extraordinary job of trying to resolve some of the concerns that have, I think, been resolved. With that said, there are 5 things on the EAC report. As to number 1, considering a mix of native shrubs, certainly we will take that into consideration and make a reasonably good effort to do that. Number 2, I would make the same comment. Number 3, consider providing electric heat. I don't know that we can answer that tonight. I think there is some chance the answer to that will be no.
Okay, that's fine.
Number 4, same comment I had to 1 and 2 about shade-tolerant understory native trees. We would have no objection to that, and we'll make a reasonable effort to address that to the townships, to satisfy that comment. And the consider permeable paving options. I think the cost and expense of that, given the events that have occurred to bring this project to fruition, make that one not likely.
Okay.
The project meets all of the impervious surface
Requirements.
ratios and has
Yes.
gone through significant stormwater design. There are 2 basins. The basins were designed to not only address the on-site conditions, but I think the township will recognize and remember there is not a whole lot of stormwater controls in the area. An effort has been made to accommodate some of the adjoining properties and other things already.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
And
so on
this
that-
is, it really, these are just suggestions.
Right.
And so we're also curious how developers feel about them when we pose them, because that helps us direct the EAC, as they're figuring out how they're navigating their path as well.
And if there were a significant amount of paving on the project as opposed to little piecemeal driveways or whatever, I think we might have a different response. But the cost and the expense of trying to do that in a patchwork fashion, given that we meet the stormwater management criteria directly, I think makes the answer to number 5 not likely.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. Just wanted to know where you stood with it. Thank you so much for trying to work on those 3. We really appreciate that. That's great. Thank you. Okay, moving on, just to go over the waivers quickly to make sure we're all on the same page about that. The first one is a partial waiver to allow for a 12-inch and 15-inch diameter pipes on a limited number of pipes due to the small drainage areas, which we are fine with the engineer's fine with that. They are requesting sequential submission of preliminary and final plan sets at the same time. That's a very typical occurrence now, so that's nothing out of the ordinary. The third one is requiring a minimum depth of 75 feet for all residential reverse frontage lots. So they've requested a waiver from this section to allow lots 1, 2, and 3 to be treated as reverse frontage lots with a 25-foot rear setback. one of the reasons we're doing that is we are, we've changed the houses so they're all facing inward and trying to create that community there, encourage the parking not to be on State Street to be inside. And so the engineer was fine as well with approving this waiver. And this is a little bit of a different, the cul-de-sac design is a little bit different. And again, that's a design that we've been working on with this developer for a while. So we are okay with that. And it also is, they've requested a partial waiver to provide a right-of-way width of 40 feet and a cartway width of 26 feet instead of 54 feet and the cartway of 30 feet. Again, not a problem with us or with the engineer. Another one they are going to, they're going to allow proposed spillover parking to be perpendicular to the proposed cul-de-sac. That was another request we made of them, because again, we wanted to encourage this parking to happen inside the development, not to be out in the community, because they had some State Street problems with parking in the past, and we didn't want to make that a reality for them.
Just to amplify your comment, you'll recall all the houses are two-car garages. All of them have parking on the driveways with appropriate width driveways. And there are, as you said, 9 spillover parking spaces inside the development. There are, I think, 5 that adjoin the entrance drive to Roosevelt Court on your right as you come in. And there are 4, maybe I got the 5 and the 4 backwards, but then there are the remaining number to get to 9 on the P Loop Street there. So there are 9 internal parking spaces in addition to the garage spaces and the on-driveway spaces.
Right. The next waiver, they're just asking to have 2 lots share a driveway, just to make it work better, make the whole layout work better. So they're asking a waiver from having to have no closer than 6 feet to the property line for driveways, because that one is going to be a little bit skewed. Seems fine. And then it's very popular to have the Belgian block curb cuts instead of the concrete, and that is something that they've also requested. Does anybody have any questions about any of these waivers for either Isaac, our engineer, or for the Better Living Homes team? Yes.
I'm sorry, you'll need to come up to the microphone.
Well, the public can't hear you that's online. That's the only reason. I'm sure you have a good question. We want to make sure everyone can hear it.
What are the maximum number of cars that are going to be able to park in this development?
There is 2 spaces in each driveway, 2 garages for each house, and 1 additional spillover car parking spot. So that's 27 total for the 9.
On how many, what is the total square footage of this lot, of the subdivision?
It's about 2.3 acres.
So they're going to put 27 cars on less than 2.5 acres?
Right. It's zoning compliant.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood. Okay, thank you.
And the parking greatly exceeds the required parking.
Did you want to explain to her again that it's the 2 per and the 2
Yes,
in the drive?
the ordinance requires 2 parking spaces per single-family dwelling. There are more or less 5 spaces being provided for each dwelling. There are 2 in each garage. There are at least 2 on each driveway, and there are 9 extra. So if you allocated the 9 extra, 1 per lot, you'd have 2 plus 2 plus 1. You'd have 5 parking spaces, which probably is more than any other lot in Upper Gwynedd.
Right. Great. Did anyone else have any questions about these waivers?
We have a call-in question.
Oh, sorry.
Public comment, I'm gonna bring in Joseph. When I bring him in, if you could just ask him to unmute himself.
Okay.
Just need to, okay, I think he is here live with us. You just ask him.
Hi, Joe.
Does he need to push *6 to unmute? Yes.
Okay, I think he's unmuted.
Awesome. Hi, Joe. It's taking a minute to.
Joe, once you're on, just let us know so we can't see you. We can only hear you. It's like a magical
It's magic.
technology. Okay. Thank you for the play-by-play.
Joe, can you hear us?
I know that Ruth's here in here too, so I know
Yeah.
Just a couple tips, Joe. You might want to make sure you're, like on your screen, you are not muted, as well as pushing *6 if you're on a phone.
Is he on a phone?
There we go. Troubleshot it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Hi, Joe. We
Joe.
can hear you.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thanks so much.
Joe, if you could state your
Hi,
full name
Joe.
and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Joseph Devlin, 732 Jackson Street, Lansdale, PA.
Thank you.
So
You
I
can-
just want to make sure. So you just give me a moment to make a comment?
Sure, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, great. Well, I want to say just, thank you for the opportunity to make a comment. And I just want to say, I know it's been a long process, so there's been a lot of talking back and forth, and just want to kind of reiterate today that, there were some concerns for the neighborhood in regards to the building of the property. Not only was there a petition that was signed by members of the neighborhood. We've talked about some things. There was also the report coming from the county just talking about some other concerns, of course, about the size of the property and the size of what of the buildings. And of course, many of the waivers that you were talking about is going to allow for those to happen, such as just the different square footages for I'm probably not using the right terminology, but the sides of the building and the back of the building. So we're just reducing that side, as well as sharing the driveway, which allows for more building of this property. And of course, the feedback that Upper Gwynedd had got given in concerns of building properties such as this is that we're concerned about walkability, and we're concerned about safety. We're definitely concerned about some wildlife. There was those things that we've talked about. I know on multiple occasions, so I don't want to, but I do want to make sure that it does go for the record, as I know we're looking to make a final decision this evening. And and some of the other things I know that we've talked about, because there's going to be a lot of trees, as they've talked about this. I would love to get a copy of that environmental report suggestions, because I know some of the concerns was the ripping out of a lot of the trees, and what would be what's the plan to rebuild it, as well as what would the compensation be back to the township. And of course, always want to talk about, as we put parcels together, what was the township reimbursed for in that sense, moving forward. I know that there's those things that we do because we want to be good stewards of the entire township. So I just kind of put those things to concerns that have been ongoing for the property. And of course, safety is one of those things. I think as people are talking about parking, and there was a thing of saying maybe we'd make no parking in front of that section of State Street, so that people could see driving up and down the street, especially since there's a bus stop right there. So those are still some of my concerns that I have, and I know that many of the other neighbors have. So I just want to bring it again to this board meeting. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening.
Joe, thank you for your feedback, and thank you for being part of this whole process and being so attentive to all of our meetings, and really representing some of the residents in your neighborhood. We appreciate that. And if you are looking for the comments from the EAC, if you go to our agenda for tonight, if you go on our website to our agenda, anything in any of our line items, our agenda items in blue, are all hyperlinked. So you can click onto it, and then you can see all the letters for this specific line item. You can see all the letters of approval, just about the whole history of this land development is there. And one of the letters that's there is from the EAC. So check those out.
Commissioner Hull, just for the record, I'd like to just make it known that the applicant was sent an email on March 4th with the EAC memo, so they did get it.
They did get on the
Well,
phone.
let me extend our apologies.
No problem.
think
I just like
neither
to make
Rick
sure-
nor I
Yeah.
have it and can recall seeing it, so if we
It was
missed
not sent to you, Mr. Wild. So,
Well, in
yeah.
any event, let me extend our
Rather than
apologies that if
Yeah.
you sent it and we should have had it, that's our error.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks. Does anybody else have any other, yes, please, come on up to the microphone. And
Just so I understand, we're talking about less than 2.5 acres of property. How many people are going to be allowed to live here? Like, what's the maximum number of occupancy for these people to live on these 2 acres? Like, how many people can live in each house? What is your expected number of residents to be living here in this 2-acre land?
do we have an expected number of residents per home in your
How many
mind?
bedrooms are in each house?
No, I guess I would say, I don't think the township, to my knowledge, has ever tried to restrict the number of people that may live in a B1 single-family dwelling. There will be 9 houses,
And how
will be
many?
sold to 9 owners, and the 9 owners will determine, based on their family members, how many people
Right,
live there. So
right, we
some
wouldn't
houses
overreach
may
like
have
that.
2 people living
Yeah.
there, some may have 4
How
or
many
5 people
bedrooms,
living there.
how many bedrooms in each unit?
Either 3 or 4 per dwelling.
So you have, how many homes?
9.
9 homes with a minimum of 3 bedrooms per home.
Right.
Is that right? So you can arguably have 27 people living on 2 acres.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure we understand, because it's a very lovely design, and I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just trying to understand what it is.
Right.
Right, so what is the ratio of open space to hardscaping in this 2.5 acres?
I don't know.
Do you know? You're whoever the engineer is. I don't know which one of you is. Roughly.
I guess I would answer your question by saying the project is zoning compliant.
I understand that. I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm asking what the ratio is.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It meets the zoning ordinance.
That's fine. Do you have an idea of what the ratio is of hardscape to open space? Open space is a priority of the township, as I understand it. So I'm
Yes.
just asking a question. What is the ratio of hardscape to open space in, or whatever, hardscaping in this development? It's 2.5 acres. I mean, I live on about 2 acres, so I kind of understand 2 acres. So I'm just trying to figure out what it's going to be like, what it's going to look like.
Well, we've answered it as best we can. It will look like what the plan shows.
Okay, but you can't tell me what any sort of estimate of how much open space is going to be left.
That's correct.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, sorry, I didn't catch your name at the beginning, but I'm Sandra, I'm the township manager. I wanted to let you know, if you have time this week or any time that's convenient for you, you can absolutely come in and review the plans and we can go over it in more detail.
Sure, but this is a public hearing, right? So.
Yes, I just
right?
wanted to
So
give you that
these are
option as well.
It's appropriate to ask these questions.
Oh, yeah,
isn't it?
I just wanted to give you
absolutely.
the option as well to come and review it in
Absolutely,
person.
absolutely. So just so we're clear, I'm Andrea Genetti,
Oh, thank you.
746
Sorry, I missed it.
Pineview Lane.
Andrea, okay.
And so that we're clear, I'm not against the earned income tax credit abatement for the firefighters. I'm not. it's good.
Okay, we're thrilled to have people here in person asking us questions, Mrs. Genetti. We've missed you all over the past pandemic, so you're welcome.
We get it. We absolutely get it. And we appreciate you trying to get clarification because that helps everybody understand. Sandra's just saying that we can give you even more detailed, because you have a lot of questions, even more detail in person later this week.
Do you know the answer to the question? Because you're the ones who are going to approve this development.
Right. I don't know the actual percentage. I know that, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Denise, but
Yeah.
the maximum percentage allowed is 40%. So that would be 40% maximum impervious per lot. So that's the requirement. We're under that requirement.
Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Right. And I do know that because we don't have the space anymore in Upper Gwynedd to have the open space that we would love to have and love to mandate in every development, we do have a park and rec fee. So there is a park and rec fee that the developers pay in order to in order to substitute for the fact that they cannot provide always the open space that we would like. That would be our favorite. We would love to have an extra couple acres to be open space there, but we are limited now with how much space we have in Upper Gwynedd. Great. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Commissioner Hall, if I can.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't you stop development in Upper Gwynedd Township? It's not happening with the amount of open space that's left in Upper Gwynedd Township.
Yeah.
I don't understand, we don't have to approve development.
Yes.
We actually do.
We
So
can't
can you-
stop-
I'm going to hand it
Lauren,
over
our
to them.
solicitor can explain that.
I mean,
We can't stop all development in the township. The property is zoned a certain way, and the property owner is entitled to develop their property consistent with the zoning ordinance.
Fair enough, but there is some sort of inconsistency here about it, that's all I'm just trying to understand. I mean, I want people to be happy living in Upland Township.
So do we. Great, did you have any other questions? No, I'm done. Okay, great, appreciate that.
Commissioner Hall, I did have one thing I just wanted to point out in the approval resolution. During the conditional use approval process, there was consideration regarding section 195-13C3C. And the Board of Commissioners elected to defer a decision on that matter to the land development process. This is paragraph 6 immediately following the waiver section of the resolution. And essentially, this is rear yard dimensions for lots 7, 8, and 9. Applicant is proposing a 20-foot setback to a proposed deck and a 28-foot setback for the principal building for each of these lots. So the approval resolution does reference an approval of that request, but that is within the Board of Commissioners' discretion.
So before we make the motion for this development, I just wanted to make a little side note and just share something with the residents. And that is that this sketch plan, the sketch plan that was first submitted by Better Living Homes, it looks very different from the final sketch plan. And that's because they have been working on this with the township and the residents since the beginning of 2019. I believe it's been about 2.5 years since you first submitted. And when they came to us, when they came first to our PRC meeting and then subsequent meetings, they were very open to collaboration and to feedback and to working with the residents. And coincidentally, when that sketch plan was first submitted to us, Commissioner McNaney and I had been on the board for 2 years. And in that 2-year period, we realized that there was a component or a focus missing from our land development process, and that was involving the residents. What we learned is that when there is an open space, as you brought up, when there is an open space in a neighborhood, even if residents don't own it, they become attached to it. They're used to it there. They're comfortable with it there. It becomes part of their identity and their neighborhood. And what had happened in the past is that developers would come in and start building, and no one knew what was going on. No one had an explanation. There was not opportunity for feedback. So we felt at that moment that we were at the perfect place to try to incorporate this resident feedback into the whole process. And so when we suggested that to Better Living Homes, you were all very receptive to that. Rick reached out, sent a letter to all the residents, even beyond the 500 feet, everyone in the general vicinity of that neighborhood, sent a letter, said he was going to have a community meeting just with the developer and with the residents, wanted to get their genuine feedback and explain what the process was and answer any questions that they might have about the plan. And then I followed up and I knocked on everybody's door and I got feedback directly about how they felt, tried to answer some questions, made sure they had the information about the meetings. And then the people who I missed, a lot of them I spoke to via email, I spoke with via phone. And then he had the meetings where he listened to their comments, listened to their questions, tried to help them out. He took their feedback about stormwater because that neighborhood has no stormwater basically, and it's very flat. And when it was developed, stormwater was not a requirement. But he is going to be able to provide stormwater for a significant part of that neighborhood, just as a service to the neighborhood. He's going to be able to take down some trees which are in need of coming down. He's going to be able to add sidewalk. And he really listened and collaborated with the residents. And then we added the component of any resident who wanted to be informed and reminded of all the land development meetings that they would be. So we compiled a list and we emailed them, reached out to them, let them know when a meeting was coming, and we continued to encourage feedback with us as well as with the developers. And as a result, I can tell you, because I have talked to just about everybody in that development, that they really are supportive. The majority, not everybody, but the majority, a significant percentage, is supportive of this development and thinks it will be good for the township. They're excited about the sidewalks, they're excited about the stormwater, they're excited about what this can do to their property value with these new homes. So I just wanted to say to Better Living Homes, Thank you so much. We really appreciate you respecting the fact that when we respected the fact that you had business to do, you also respected the fact that we needed to listen to our community. And thank you. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 27-2021, Roosevelt Court /111 State Street Subdivision Land Development, subject to the conditions set forth within the resolution, including the suggestions of the EAC letter. Is that correct?
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any additional comment from the board or from the public? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hull. Moving right along, item number 17, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Carter.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the sale of the 2007 Ford Expedition, EL VIN number 1FMFK16557, LA63015, to the Upper Gwynedd Fire Department in the amount of $1. The officers of Upper Gwynedd Township Fire Department recommend that the Upper Gwynedd Township Board of Commissioners sell the 2007 Ford Expedition for $1. This will allow the fire department to sell the used vehicle and use the funds to purchase a replacement vehicle. At the time of the sale, the fire department currently operates the 2007 Ford Expedition and has done so since the original purchase. It has been the understanding between the township and the fire department leadership that the fire department covered all costs associated with the preventive maintenance and insurance on the vehicle owned by the fire department. The above vehicle was believed to have been owned by the fire department and was slated to be replaced in 2021. The budget that was allocated for replacement was to include money from the sale of the 2007 Expedition. At the time of sale, it was realized by both parties that the 2007 Expedition was in fact not owned by the Upper Gwynedd Fire Department, but by the Upper Gwynedd Township. So we, the Upper Gwynedd Fire Department, are asking that the vehicle be sold to the fire department so that the vehicle can be privately sold to help cover the cost of the new vehicle as originally planned by the fire department. So with that, a motion to approve the sale.
So we have a motion to approve the sale of the 2007 Ford Expedition. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any public comment on that? No public comment? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes so have it. And we're all raising our hands like we did when we
I
were
was
on
going to
Zoom.
say something about that. You
Yeah,
guys
we
did it
were
like
all
so
doing-
well. You're so
Yeah,
trained for Zoom.
For
So
Zoom, we're all
good.
raising our hands. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
With that, moving right along, Ruth, Commissioner Damsker. Okay, we're ready for you with item number 18.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to make a motion to approve the bid award for heating oil as part of the consortium to Tioga Fuel Company, Inc. in the amount of $2.3560 per gallon.
So we have a motion to approve the bid award. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any public comment?
I have a comment. I'd just like to point out that this bid award came in close to 30 cents cheaper than our previous bid, so we will be saving money on our heating oil costs throughout the future.
Nice job. Nice work.
I have to say, the nice job was done by Suzanne Stanley and Deanna Logan, who taught Suzanne Stanley how to do our bidding process. So it was Suzanne's first bid like this, and she did a great job, and I know it really,
Wow.
she worked really hard to learn the process.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. Thank you. So we have a motion. We have
Thank you.
a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it.
Okay, then I have a motion to advertise the bid for the removal and replacement of underground gas and diesel tanks.
So we have a motion to advertise the bid for the removal. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment? No? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it.
And now on number 20, I have a motion to approve Resolution 22-2021, piggybacking with Gwynedd Township for microsurfacing. And obviously, by working together with a neighboring township, it benefits both townships.
I do have a comment as well. Sorry. I know it's a long night, but we have a crowd, so I want them to know about microsurfacing. And I might throw Isaac some questions too. Microsurfacing can be a little controversial with residents because we come along after we've nicely, freshly paved your road and put on a new type of surface that can be a little not smooth at the onset. So I don't want to say bumpy because it's not bumpy, but it doesn't have that same perfect roadway feel to once your road is just newly paved. And we do this because it extends the life 5 to 10 years of the roadways. So over time, this saves a ton of money for the taxpayers. And so we're not trying to upset our residents by making their perfectly smooth roads less smooth. We're just really trying to extend the health and the well-being of that road. As well as the microsurfacing seals little tiny cracks. It helps reduce potholes. There's a lot of real positives to it. The one negative is the road doesn't feel the same way that it did when it first happens, but through time, the microsurfacing smooths out, and in about a year or two after we do the microsurfacing, you're back to a smoother surface. That was the fastest anyone ever gave a microsurfacing description in history.
Thank you, Sandra.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You
were very clear, though, so thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? I already
Second.
did
Did
that.
that,
We
yeah.
seconded. See, you threw me off. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? The ayes so have it.
All right, now for the last one, under Public Works, would be a motion to approve Resolution 28-2021, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the 2021 round of the Monco CTP, which is the County Transportation Plan Grant Program.
So we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any public comment?
Commissioner McNaney, I'm sorry, I'm going to make one more comment.
Wait. Any additional board comment or comment from Sandra?
Perfect. So this is an awesome application that Isaac's firm has put together to help offset the costs of a bridge that we have to replace. The total project cost is close to $2 million. We've received a grant from the state for $1.2 million, which is wonderful news. And this application would be to fund our portion of the matching funds, which would take our projects from our portion that we would have to pay for from $1.2 million all the way down to, I can't see, Isaac, you announce it because you're the one that writes it.
Sure, yeah. This is the Sumney Town Pike Bridge replacement. So the full total project cost is about $2 million, as Sandra mentioned. With the two grants combined, it brings the costs that the township would be responsible for down to $223,000 and a little bit of change. So the great thing about the CTP grant, we've confirmed it can be used in conjunction with the PennDOT grant that we received to help cover that match cost that we're with from the first grant. So looking forward to hopefully hearing back positive results from this grant as well, and that will really bring the cost down in total for the township to combine the two.
Thank you.
Yes, Isaac, we all are very appreciative of all the grants that you've been applying for. It certainly benefits the township and our residents. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Just for a quick note, Megan, if you could go back again. What we were talking about on our agenda, we were at item number 21, Megan hit it, and this is all the information that was shared with you. So that is new. All this information is new. It started right before the little pandemic that we just went through, with being able to provide residents with all this additional information so that you know exactly, like what Isaac just said about how much we're making, how much it's going to cost us, what the project is, and the grants that we're getting. So we're really excited to have that additional links for the residents to see where their money is going, how we're spending the money, and the grant money that we're receiving. So Megan for pulling that up. Did we approve that? No, we have to approve.
No,
All
I
right.
keep
I know,
commenting
we're
before you
yeah.
vote.
So with that, all in favor of motion to approve number 21?
Get a second? I'm not sure we got a second.
Yeah, we got
We got a second. Yep.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it. Moving right along to Commissioner Similaro.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 raw sewage pumps, variable frequency drives. This was approved in the 2021 budget, and this will finish the replacement of the raw sewage pump variable drives that was started in 2020. There were 2 replaced then. We have to do the remaining 2. It's not to exceed $20,000, and it was budgeted. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 raw sewage pump VFDs.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any public comment? No? Any additional board comment or Sandra comment?
Sorry, this isn't quite as exciting as the other. No offense, wastewater.
It's exciting to me.
I know.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes so have it. Thank you, Commissioner Similaro. Next on the agenda, item number 23 is a motion to approve the July 2021 open invoices. This will be a roll call vote. We've all had the opportunity to look through them. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Was that, oh, roll call, I'm sorry. Roll call vote, sorry.
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker. Ruth, can you unmute?
That's okay. The ayes so have it then. Okay. Next is a motion to approve the July 2021 paid invoices. Again, we've all had time to look through that. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any public comment? Any additional board comment? Deanna?
President McNaney,
Aye.
Vice President Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Similaro,
Aye.
Commissioner Damsker.
Aye.
Oh, there we go. Motion passes.
We did.
Yes.
We did.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Ruth. Before we call for adjournment, do we have somebody that wanted to make a comment?
Oh,
Okay. I'd just like to thank everybody for bearing with us with this new system that we have. This is only the second time that we've used this system. We felt as though when, with the pandemic, where we were able to have everybody join us from the comfort of their homes during that time, that we would add this moving forward so that, and this is the first time that the board has ever been live like this. And we think it's a good thing for everybody to stay involved and informed on what's going on in the township. So thank you for being patient with us this evening as we work things out and
it's fine.
and we're just glad that we have this ability to do this as best we can moving forward. So with that, if there isn't anything else, meeting adjourned.